Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. The silence from Dillian Whyte in recent days and weeks since the fight with Tyson Fury went to a purse bid, it really has been quite deafening. I mean, he hasn't disappeared entirely. The guy is just training, preparing for what will be an eventual fight with Tyson Fury. We know that contracts are currently being exchanged, but seemingly the silence from Whyte is really starting to piss off not just Tyson Fury, but his promoters as well. Bob Arum on the record saying, I want extra money to promote. Our position is, we're not going to give it to you. If he doesn't participate in the promotion, he's a damn fool. And I think like many, in recent years when the talk of this potential fight has been sort of bandied around, people have said, wouldn't that be a great build-up? There'll be all sorts of banter, back and forth, barbs. We've seen it previously before. These guys have gone at it on social media. Whyte saying that he's dropped Fury and Fury's a coward, and Fury has also returned in kind with similar sort of sentiment and ragging on him, etc. And we've seen Fury in the past week or so going to town on Whyte, saying he's white feathers, a coward, all that sort of stuff, using some of Whyte's rhetoric.
Where are you, coward?
And Bob Arum saying that if he's not going to take part, he's a fool. And the question is, I guess there's a few questions, but one of them being, what impact does it have if Dillian Whyte keeps quiet? Because I'm sure one of the things that they're trying to build into the contracts, and this might be a sort of sticking point, is that they probably want to build something in where Whyte has to contractually do some of the promotional work for this fight. But at the moment, as it stands, from the purse bid, there's a split of money, 80-20, and there's of that, there's a 5% from each side being put aside. So Whyte's getting a cut of that $41 million record purse bid. But there may not be anything that has to, that forces him to really be part of the promotion in any meaningful way. And this might be something that's being built into the contracts, as I say. So potentially he could just sit back, and this is what some of his opponents, Whyte's opponents, have done previously. Oscar Rivas didn't really sort of have any part in the build-up to Whyte's fight. There's been others as well where it's been pretty low-key. Whyte's been the one out there trying to sell it, talk up his opponent, all that sort of stuff. Sometimes it's been because there's a language barrier. But I often think when you only have one side of the equation promoting a fight, the promotion in general just lacks a little bit of something. And if Whyte is quiet and ultimately doesn't do much during the build-up, etc., it could end up leading to a situation where the fight doesn't get the exposure it otherwise would have. And the flow-on effect from that would be effectively fewer buys, less money coming in. And remembering, they got $41 million to pay out in purses, and then you think of all the other associated costs with putting on a big fight at a stadium. There's going to be all sorts of things and costs associated with the event. So it is hardball from Dillian Whyte, obviously wanting more money to promote. And if he doesn't get it, well, he could say, well, the WBC says I get this. Okay, well, let's do that. And we know he has this arbitration off to the side, but for the moment, that sort of seems to be a peripheral issue. Maybe he'll get a bump in pay as a result of that arbitration, but he has to just focus on the matter at hand. And part of that may not be promoting it. And obviously, this has got to be a concern to Arum and Warren, because they're on the hook for a huge amount of money. And Tyson Fury often needs a dance partner to help sell fights. I mean, he's a big, brash character of his own right, and he can do a certain amount of the heavy lifting. But we've seen previously with that third fight with Deontay Wilder, Wilder didn't want to engage. And the build-up did feel a little bit different. But there was certainly some elements heading into that third fight. Would Deontay Wilder improve, and other bits and pieces, the claims by Wilder, etc., that helped build it up a bit more. But if Whyte's just going to be completely silent, what's Fury working with? And you can arguably say already, Whyte's lack of silence is actually, being used as a mechanism to help promote and build the fight. We've had Fury out making statements, Bob Arum with these comments. It's, in a perverse way, promoting the fight without Whyte being involved. But, it's only going to work so often, to actually say these sorts of things, because people, after a while, you're just not listening. If Whyte stays silent, they've got to come up with something else. And I think we've already sort of seen little bits of that. Fury's been out talking about Joshua at every chance he can get. Alexander Usyk. You've also had this beef with Conor McGregor, which for the purposes of Fury and this upcoming fight, gets him on their radar. People that may not otherwise sort of cared about the fight. Maybe they will now because of the beef. There's all these sorts of things. Any publicity can be good publicity, and the bad stuff is not always necessarily, going to impact things too bad. It could actually be a good thing. But if Whyte stays silent, it does put the acid on the promoters to try to, work out some strategies without Whyte to try build the fight. Because, I think naturally we expected there would be animosity. But if one side is silent, it's hard to sort of talk that up and build it up in the same sort of way and to the same sort of level. So it is, a real sort of two-finger or one-finger salute from Whyte to the promotion. As a result, he's not happy with the money. But it is what it is, I guess. And if it continues, well, they're going to have to get creative. But what do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.